My beloved child, the silence around you has been louder than words, and if you listen carefully, you will notice how certain smiles linger a little too long, how certain glances hold a secret weight they were never meant to carry. Somewhere very close to you, two women are quietly observing the unfolding of a matter that touches your life more deeply than you realize. They do not argue. They do not celebrate openly. They simply smile, softly, patiently, almost invisibly. As if they already know the ending of a story you are still living in the middle of. That smile is not accidental. It is not casual. It is the kind of smile that appears only when someone believes the pieces are finally falling into place, when timing has aligned, and when a truth is preparing itself to surface without warning. What makes this moment powerful is not what they say, but what they refuse to say, because silence can be the most revealing confession of all. There was a time when you felt unsure about a certain situation, sensing that something important was happening behind the scenes, yet finding no proof to trust your instincts. You brushed off small signs, the way conversations suddenly changed when you entered the room, the way messages paused mid-sentence, the way certain questions were asked twice, as if testing your awareness. Those two women noticed everything long before you did. One of them smiled because she believed she had finally understood you better than anyone else ever could. The other smiled because she thought she had already won a quiet victory without making a single move. Both smiles were born from different intentions, yet both were connected to the same matter, a turning point that involves your choices, your energy, and a decision that has been slowly ripening in your life. What neither of them expected, however, was how unpredictable the truth would become once it stepped into the light. You may not realize this yet, but the reason their smiles remain silent is because words would expose too much too soon. One of them is smiling because she believes your silence means agreement, that your patience means surrender, that your calmness means you will never question what is unfolding. The other is smiling because she sees your growth, your strength, and your ability to rise above confusion, and she thinks this will ultimately work in her favor. Both are watching you closely, measuring your reactions, waiting for a signal, a step forward, a step back, or a single sentence that could change everything. This is not about rivalry or conflict, it is about perception, timing, and the quiet power of observation. Their smiles exist because they think they understand the outcome. And that assumption is where everything begins to shift. What makes this matter extraordinary is that neither woman truly knows the full truth yet. One holds half the picture, shaped by past experiences and personal expectations. The other holds the remaining half, shaped by hope, strategy, and careful restraint. You are standing unknowingly at the center of these two perspectives, and the moment you decide to act with clarity rather than confusion, the balance will change. The smiles you have not questioned will begin to fade, not because something bad happens, but because certainty will be replaced with surprise. This is the kind of situation where silence has been protecting you, even when it felt uncomfortable. The calm you maintained while others whispered and watched was not weakness, it was preparation. As this story continues, understand this clearly: those silent smiles are not a sign of control over your life, they are a sign of expectation. And expectations, when unmet, transform faster than anything else. Something is approaching, not loudly, not suddenly, but inevitably, a realization that will rearrange how everyone involved sees you. When that moment arrives, the smiles will no longer be silent, and the reason behind them will finally be revealed in a way no one predicted. Until then, hold your ground, trust your awareness, and remember that the most powerful turns in life often happen when others believe they already know the ending. My beloved child, something has already begun to move beneath the surface, and even though nothing has been declared openly, the energy around this matter is no longer still. The silence that once felt neutral has started to feel intentional, as if certain people are holding their breath, waiting for the exact second when the atmosphere changes. The two women you sense at the edges of this story are no longer just observing, they are reacting internally to subtle shifts they cannot control. One of them has started to notice that your presence no longer carries uncertainty but quiet authority. The other has begun to feel that her assumptions may have been premature. Both continue to smile, but now those smiles are layered with calculation, curiosity, and an unspoken question: what exactly are you about to do next? There is a detail you may have overlooked, a small but powerful change in how people respond to you lately. Words reach you slower. Answers feel incomplete. Decisions that once happened quickly now seem delayed. This is not coincidence. It is the result of people reassessing you in real time. One of those women smiles because she believes delay works in her favor, that time will soften your resolve and guide you toward the outcome she expects. The other smiles because she believes delay gives you space to grow even stronger, and she is quietly hoping that strength will align with her vision instead. Both believe patience belongs to them. Neither realizes that patience has already chosen you. You are not being watched because you are weak. You are being watched because you are unpredictable in the most powerful way. You do not react impulsively. You do not reveal everything you know. This has created uncertainty where confidence once lived. One woman thought she understood your limits and smiled because she believed you would never cross a certain line. The other thought she understood your heart and smiled because she believed it would lead you exactly where she wanted. What neither accounted for was your ability to pause, reflect, and evolve beyond expectations. That ability is the quiet force reshaping this entire matter. As this unfolds, emotions that were once controlled are starting to surface beneath calm expressions. One of the women has moments where her smile feels strained, where her certainty wavers for just a second before she hides it again. The other finds herself smiling more softly, almost protectively, as if sensing that the story is no longer hers to direct. Both are realizing, consciously or not, that this situation is no longer about influence but about truth. And truth does not arrive loudly, it arrives steadily, dismantling assumptions piece by piece until only clarity remains. What you must understand now is that this phase exists for a reason. It is the moment before revelation, the breath before a door opens. The matter that inspired those silent smiles is approaching a turning point where intentions will be exposed without confrontation, without drama, simply through the natural alignment of events. When that happens, the smiles will lose their mystery, and the real reason behind them will stand undeniable. Until then, remain exactly as you are, observant, grounded, and unwavering, because the calm you carry is quietly rewriting the ending of this story. My beloved child, there comes a moment when hidden motives begin to feel heavy, when even the most carefully maintained expressions can no longer mask the truth pressing from within. This is that moment. The air around you has changed again, subtly but unmistakably, and the two women who once smiled with quiet certainty are now feeling the weight of anticipation. They sense that the matter they believed they understood is no longer obedient to their expectations. Something in your energy has shifted from waiting to knowing, and knowledge has a way of unsettling those who rely on assumption. Their smiles remain, but now they are cautious, measured, as if each one is asking the same silent question: what does this person see that we do not? You may not have spoken much, but your silence has been speaking on your behalf. Every time you chose restraint over reaction, every time you listened more than you explained, you gathered clarity. One of the women is beginning to recognize this, though she will not admit it even to herself. Her smile exists because she is trying to convince herself that everything is still under control, that the outcome she imagined is still intact. The other woman, however, has started to sense something deeper, that your calm is not confusion, but certainty forming quietly. She smiles not because she feels victorious, but because she feels something inevitable approaching, something she cannot rush or stop. This matter has never truly been about them, even though they believed it was. It has always been about you stepping into a clearer understanding of your own position. That realization is what changes everything. One woman thought influence would decide the ending. The other thought emotion would. Neither realized that awareness would be the deciding force. As your understanding deepened, the situation began to reorganize itself naturally. Conversations shifted. Circumstances aligned differently. Opportunities appeared where resistance once lived. These are not accidents. They are signals that the story is preparing for a reveal that no one scripted in advance. Now, beneath the surface, both women are facing different emotions. One is confronting doubt for the first time, questioning whether her confidence was built on incomplete information. The other is confronting hope, realizing that the outcome may depend on your free choice rather than her quiet expectations. Their smiles reflect these inner states, one tight with uncertainty, the other gentle with acceptance. Neither smile is false, but both are fragile, because they are built on outcomes that have not yet arrived. And outcomes, when guided by truth, rarely match prediction. As this chapter continues, remember this. You are no longer standing in the dark, even if others believe you are. The reason behind those silent smiles is slowly unraveling, not through confrontation, but through clarity. When the moment comes, the matter will resolve itself with a simplicity that surprises everyone involved. Until then, continue to move with awareness rather than haste. The calm strength you carry is not only protecting you. It is guiding the story toward an ending that honors truth over assumption, and intention over illusion. My beloved child, this is the phase where certainty quietly breaks, where the belief that everything was already decided begins to dissolve without noise. The atmosphere around you now carries a different weight, one that cannot be ignored or explained away. The two women who once smiled with effortless confidence are no longer smiling from the same place within themselves. They feel it. The shift that happens when a story stops belonging to observers and starts responding to the person at its center. What unsettles them is not something you said or did openly, but the unmistakable sense that the matter has moved beyond interpretation and into alignment. One of them is realizing that her smile was built on expectation rather than truth. She believed patience would bend you, that silence would make you predictable, that time would quietly deliver you where she assumed you would go. Now she feels time slipping from her control. Her smile remains, but it is thinner, more deliberate, as if she is holding onto it to avoid revealing doubt. The other woman feels something entirely different, not loss, but surrender. She understands now that no matter how carefully she hoped or waited, the outcome cannot be influenced, only accepted. Her smile has softened, not because she knows she will gain something, but because she senses clarity approaching. This matter has reached the point where inner intentions matter more than external appearances. What once felt like a quiet observation has become a silent reckoning. Every assumption made about you is being tested, every belief about the situation is being re-evaluated. You are no longer reacting to the environment is reacting to you. This is why conversations feel different now, why people hesitate before speaking, why answers arrive slower and with less certainty. The control others thought they had has dissolved into awareness, and awareness always changes the direction of events. Neither woman expected you to remain so steady when uncertainty grew around you. That steadiness is what exposed the truth beneath their smiles. One smiles because she does not know how else to hide her confusion. The other smiles because she finally understands that truth does not need protection, it reveals itself naturally when the time is right. Both are learning, in their own ways, that the matter they quietly smiled about was never theirs to define. It was always moving toward your clarity, not their conclusions. Now, as this chapter settles into place, know this: what is coming next will not arrive with conflict or noise, but with undeniable understanding. The reason behind those silent smiles is about to lose its mystery, not through confrontation, but through the simple exposure of truth. When that happens, the story will not end dramatically, it will end correctly. And in that correctness, you will finally see why everything unfolded exactly as it did. My beloved child, this is the moment when the story no longer needs tension to prove its power, because understanding has finally stepped forward on its own. Everything that felt unclear before now carries meaning. The pauses, the glances, the careful smiles, they all align into one quiet truth. The matter that once lived in whispers has reached its natural conclusion, not because someone forced it there, but because reality has a way of arranging itself when awareness arrives. The two women you sensed from the beginning now stand in very different emotional spaces, no longer connected by certainty, but separated by realization. Their smiles, once silent and confident, now reflect acceptance rather than anticipation. One of them understands now that her smile was never about victory, it was about belief. She believed she knew how the story would unfold, believed she could read the ending before it arrived. When that belief dissolved, what remained was humility. Her smile fades into something quieter, not regret, not loss, but recognition. The other woman has reached a different understanding. She realizes her smile was never about control, but about hope. And hope, when released from expectation, becomes peace. Both women have arrived at their truths without confrontation, without explanation, simply by witnessing how naturally things aligned around you. You did not need to announce your clarity for it to be felt. You did not need to defend your position for it to be respected. By remaining grounded, you allowed the truth to speak for itself. That is the power others underestimated. The matter that inspired silent smiles was never meant to trap you in uncertainty, it was meant to reveal who could adapt when assumptions fell away. And now that revelation is complete. The tension has dissolved not into chaos, but into understanding. What once felt heavy now feels settled. This ending is not loud, and that is what makes it lasting. There is no dramatic declaration, no sudden reversal, only a clear shift in how everyone involved sees you and the situation itself. The smiles no longer hide meaning, they reflect closure. Each person carries forward what they have learned, and you carry forward something far more valuable, certainty rooted in self-awareness. That certainty changes how future situations will unfold, long before words are ever spoken. As this chapter closes, remember this: the strongest moments in life are not always marked by noise or reaction. Sometimes they arrive quietly, reshaping everything without demanding attention. The reason behind those silent smiles has served its purpose, and now it releases its hold. What remains is clarity, balance, and a calm sense of alignment, the kind that tells you, without question, that you were never behind in this story. You were exactly where you needed to be all along. My beloved child, this final movement arrives not as an ending, but as a settling, like dust after a long, quiet journey through the air. What once felt charged now feels resolved, and the space around you breathes differently. The matter that drew silent smiles has completed its work. It revealed patience, exposed assumptions, and tested perception without ever demanding confrontation. The two women are no longer bound by the same anticipation, each has stepped into her own understanding. Their smiles no longer lean forward into the future. They rest, grounded in what is. You may notice how the world responds to you now with fewer questions and more recognition. There is a subtle respect in the pauses, a calm acknowledgement in the way situations unfold without resistance. This is not coincidence. It is the after effect of clarity. One woman carries forward a lesson about humility, the understanding that certainty built on assumption cannot stand for long. The other carries forward peace, the realization that hope finds its truest form when it releases control. Neither feels the need to smile silently anymore, because there is nothing left to wait for. What matters most is what has changed within you. The uncertainty that once pressed on your thoughts has lifted, replaced by a steady confidence that does not need validation. You learn to stand still without stagnating, to remain calm without withdrawing, to observe without absorbing what was never yours to carry. That strength reshaped the story quietly, decisively. It ensured that the outcome honored truth rather than expectation, and alignment rather than influence. From here, life moves forward with a gentler clarity. Situations will reveal themselves sooner. Intentions will feel clearer. You will recognize patterns without being pulled into them. This is the gift of having walked through a moment that required patience and presence. The matter that once invited silent smiles has left behind wisdom, and wisdom does not announce itself, it guides. Carry this understanding with you. Not as memory, but as instinct. When others smile quietly around future matters, you will know how to read the space between what is shown and what is real. And in that knowing, you will continue to move with a calm strength that needs no approval, no anticipation, and no silence to prove its power.